The sledgehammer crashed through the barn's weathered oak door, splinters flying like shrapnel. Karen Worthington, in her pristine Chanel blazer and stiletto heels, stood in my yard, her face twisted with smug triumph. "This eyesore is community property," she declared, her voice dripping with disdain as she gestured at my family's century-old barn. "The HOA agrees it's coming down." My heart sank. That barn wasn't just wood and nails. It was my grandfather's legacy, where he'd taught me to carve wooden toys, where my daughter now played. I clenched my fists, staring at the woman who turned our quiet neighborhood into a battlefield. Karen had moved into our small town of Willow Creek 6 months ago, her arrival marked by complaints about unacceptable lawn heights and tacky mailboxes. As the new HOA president, she wielded her authority like a scepter, fining neighbors for minor infractions and preaching about elevating property values. But her latest crusade demanding my barn be demolished as a public nuisance was personal. She claimed it blocked her view of the valley, a view she insisted belonged to the community. I'd refused her demands, citing the barn's historical status and my property deed. That's when she took matters into her own hands, showing up with a hired crew and tools to tear it down. I grabbed my phone, recording her as she swung the sledgehammer again. "Karen, this is private property. Stop," I shouted. She laughed, tossing her perfectly styled hair. "You'll thank me when your property value doubles," she sneered. Neighbors gathered, drawn by the commotion. Some whispered support for me. Others nodded at Karen's claims about community standards. My stomach churned as I dialed my lawyer, Sarah, who'd been fighting Karen's HOA overreach for months. "Stay calm, Tom," Sarah said over the phone. "We'll stop her. Get evidence." I kept filming, capturing Karen's crew spray painting demo in red across the barn side. The truth unraveled faster than I expected. Sarah arrived within the hour, armed with documents proving the barn's protected status as a historical landmark. She confronted Karen, her voice steady but sharp. "This barn predates the HOA by decades, Ms. Worthington. You have no legal claim to it." Karen's face reddened, but she doubled down. "The HOA voted. It's a blight," she snapped, waving a petition signed by a handful of her allies. That's when an unexpected figure stepped forward. Mr. Jenkins, the town's reclusive historian, who rarely left his book-filled cottage. At 78, he moved slowly but spoke with fire. "That barn's a town treasure," he said, holding up a yellowed photo of it from 1920, surrounded by smiling farmers. "You're destroying history, not improving it." The crowd murmured, some faces softening. Karen scoffed, but Mr. Jenkins wasn't done. He revealed a bombshell. Karen had falsified the HOA petition, forging signatures to push her agenda. He'd cross-checked the names with voter records. Half the signers didn't even live in Willow Creek. Gasps rippled through the neighbors. Karen's composure cracked, her eyes darting as she stammered. That's ridiculous." But the evidence was undeniable. Sarah called the police, and Karen's crew dropped their tools, unwilling to risk arrest. I felt a surge of hope, but the fight was far from over. The confrontation escalated at the town courthouse 2 weeks later. Karen, now backed by a slick lawyer from the city, argued that the HOA had implied authority over my barn due to vague community bylaws. She painted herself as a visionary, claiming the barn's removal would fund a modern community center to boost property values. Her lawyer projected images of a gleaming glass building, and I saw some neighbors nod, swayed by her promises. My chest tightened. Was I losing them? Sarah countered with the barn's historical records, my deed, and Mr. Jenkins' testimony about its cultural value. She also presented the forged petition, which drew a stern look from Judge Harlan. Then came the twist that turned the tide. During cross-examination, Karen's lawyer slipped, mentioning an email where Karen admitted to bending the rules to get the HOA votes. Sarah pounced, demanding the email be entered as evidence. The judge agreed, and the courtroom buzzed as the email was projected, Karen bragging to a friend about teaching that farmer a lesson and fudging signatures to win. The room fell silent. Karen's face drained of color, her lawyer scrambling to object. Judge Harlan leaned forward, his voice like gravel. "Ms. Worthington, you've abused your position and broken a law. This stops now." Karen's downfall was swift and brutal. The judge ruled in my favor, declaring the barn untouchable and ordering the HOA to pay for its full restoration due to Karen's vandalism. He fined her personally for forgery and property damage, stripping her of her HOA presidency. As the gavel fell, Karen sat frozen, her designer purse clutched tightly, her eyes avoiding the neighbors she'd once lorded over. Outside the courthouse, she tried to slip away, but the crowd followed, some shouting shame. I didn't join in. Watching her scurry to her SUV, I felt no joy, only relief. The barn would stand, but the scars of her actions lingered. The restoration began the next month. Volunteers, including Mr. Jenkins and neighbors who'd once sided with Karen, showed up with paintbrushes and hammers. My daughter, Lily, ran through the barn, laughing as she helped sand the beams. Sarah stopped by, smiling. "You fought for what's right, Tom," she said. "That's what this barn stands for now." I nodded, thinking of my grandfather's hands shaping wood, teaching me that integrity outlasts greed. The barn's new coat of red paint gleamed under the sun, a quiet symbol of resilience. Karen moved away soon after, her house sold to a young couple who joined the restoration effort. The HOA rewrote its bylaws, ensuring no one could weaponize it again. Standing in the barn's doorway, I felt a weight lift. It wasn't just about saving a building. It was about standing up to entitlement, about community choosing history over hubris. What do you think? Where do you draw the line between personal rights and community rules? Share your thoughts.